I've been running now for about 5 years, and I've done pretty consistently high volume training, and I'm now significantly more comfortable running longer distances. So this weekend I went out on a long training run for the Chiltern Wonderland 50, and I ran a marathon. I ran 42 kilometres as a training run. And for the last year, at least the last 6 months, I've put in back-to-back training blocks, consistently running about 100k per week. But I'm not getting faster at all. I got this about 2 years ago now, and it's a chalkboard that shows my PBs, and I've had it now for about 2 years, and I've not managed to change a single time. So I haven't broken a PB across any of the distances, 5k, 10k, half marathon or a marathon, in 2 years, despite the fact I've been running about 100k per week. And about a month ago I joined the local running club here in Winchester, and in just 5 weeks of training I've seen a significant difference in my running in terms of my fitness level, my speed. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Like, even in the data on my Garmin is showing how significantly different my training is. So one of the big drivers for me for joining this club was for the social aspects. I've just moved to a new city and I just want to get to know some of the local runners. But some of the runners that I've been meeting are seriously fast, and some of them are very, very experienced on the shorter distances as well as the long distances. You know, there's 5k runners, but there's also people who've done all sorts of ultramarathons around the world. And I've always found you learn so much from people who have been running a long time. One of the big reasons why I joined this club is because I am terrible at doing speed work on my own. I always find that I struggle to push myself to sort of the next level when I'm on my own. And for the last 5 weeks, every Tuesday and Thursday, I've joined a speed session on the track on a Tuesday and a threshold session on the Thursday. And the setup is basically 40 to 70 people turn up, do some drills and some strides, and then go off and do a session. And there's probably like 7 or 8 groups, or based on different fitness levels. So the really fast elite guys go off first, and then you basically find a group that's a similar fitness level, and then you run the session with them. Now, the sessions we're doing are not dramatically different from what I was doing before. And despite the fact I was doing these sessions before, the effort that I'm putting into these sessions now is significantly different. So Garmin's got this feature called training load, and that's what I want to show you. I want to show you the data. So Garmin's training load feature shows you 2 things. It shows you the training load. It gives you a score for that session. For an easy run, it might be a score of 100. For a hard session, it might be 300-400, or even 500 if it's really, really hard. And it also shows you the type of session, so where it thinks that session is benefiting your fitness. So it's got low aerobic, high aerobic, and anaerobic. Essentially, low aerobic is easy paced endurance. High aerobic is kind of like more around like threshold, so sort of longer distances like half marathon, 10k. And then anaerobic is for that shorter distance speed. And when I used to train on my own and do my speed sessions on my own, my easy runs would still be 100, 150. But when I was doing this interval session on my own, the score would maybe get up to 250, 300 at best. So the difference between my easy runs and my hard runs wasn't actually that significant. Most of the time, my hardest session of the week would be my long easy run, where I went out for 3-4 hours at an easy pace. But since we're going running with the club, my Tuesday sessions are often 450, 500 in terms of the training load score. And my threshold sessions as well are like 400, 450. So those hard sessions are significantly harder. And I think that's because I'm running with other people. You know, I just don't think I would be pushing myself that hard if I wasn't running with other people. And not only am I running harder for each of the intervals, often the recoveries we're doing are significantly less. So as I'm going for a session, from interval to interval, I am not recovering fully. Whereas previously, when I did a session on my own, I would definitely recover during the rest. And now when I'm doing a long run at the weekend, the score is significantly less than some of my speed sessions. Yesterday, my 42k long run was a score of like 300, 350. And yet my track workout on Tuesday was about 500, so significantly harder. And I'm seeing that in my recovery. It's taking me a lot longer to recover from these speed sessions. And because of that, I'm having to scale back my easy runs to make them excessively easy so I do recover before the next session. And I mentioned that Garmin kind of categorizes them into the 3 groups: low aerobic, high aerobic, and anaerobic. And for years, I've had my Garmin saying that I've got an anaerobic deficiency. You know, for the last 6 months since I got this Garmin, every single month it says anaerobic deficiency. And for the first time now, since running with a club, I'm hitting the target load for anaerobic training because I'm running those faster distances and I'm holding them for a longer period. And I'm stressing that part of my fitness that I wasn't before. And the amount of effort I'm putting into each of these track sessions is significant. Like, at the end of some of these Tuesday sessions when I finish, I'm having to lie down for like 5 minutes just to get my breath back, which never happened when I was doing an interval session on my own. I do the intervals and then I do a little walk jog and then I carry on running back home. Whereas now, straight after the session, as soon as I hit that last split, I'm absolutely done. Like, my breathing is really laboured, my heart is pounding, and I'm really having to take a few minutes just to recover because of the intensity. And from a fitness perspective, I'm seeing the benefits already. So my training has followed the same kind of pattern that it has for the last 2 training blocks. My last few weeks have been 90k, 100k, 100k, 110k and 120k in terms of volume, an interval and a threshold session every week, and a long run that's slowly built up to 42k yesterday, which is basically the same training that I did for the last 2 blocks. But my fitness is improving significantly better than it did in the previous block. I did a math test this week, and just in the last month, my pace at my math heart rate, 150 beats per minute, has dropped to 505 per kilometre, which is 16 seconds faster per kilometre than it was a month ago. I'm also finding it much easier to run at a low intensity, so when I'm out doing my easy runs, I'm not struggling to keep my heart rate below 150. Even when I'm running uphill now, I'm quite comfortably keeping it below my math heart rate. And I'm also finding my hard pace is comfortable. So I did a threshold session this week and I was running 408 minutes per kilometre, which to me is like a really hard pace. You know, that a few weeks ago, that was probably my 5k PB pace. And this week I did it as a threshold session. And I was running and I suddenly realised I felt comfortable running 408, which to me was kind of mind-blowing, you know, within a month to make that massive transition. From being about 21 minutes for a 5k to I reckon now my fitness is somewhere around a 19-minute 5k. And with doing these faster sessions, I'm getting a much better feel for my current fitness level. So I've been using Jack Daniel's VDOT table. If you haven't used these before, I would definitely recommend taking a look. And it's basically a table that shows you, based on a VDOT value, what your estimated times are for different distances, as well as where you should be training at in terms of intervals, threshold, and easy runs. And I reckon at the moment my VDOT's about 51, 52, and that's improved significantly, but I've got a much better feel for the kind of paces I should be running the different sessions at. And if I was to go and do like a half marathon PB attempt, I know exactly where I think I should be aiming for in terms of a time. Another benefit of joining the club has been the track. Doing a hard interval session on a track makes it so much easier than just doing it out on the street, because you don't have that worry about stepping in a pothole. You know that the surface is smooth, so you can just go out and run hard, and you can focus more on your form and your pace as opposed to worrying where you're putting your foot. Another benefit of joining a club has been learning about all of the local races. So I've been looking at, once I complete the Chiltern Wonderland 50, I'm going to look at some shorter distances to build up some speed. So local half marathons, local marathons, and shorter distances like 10k, 5k. And finally, I think there's a lot of little things that are related to running that I've never really got my head around, because I've always done my training on my own. So things like strength and conditioning, which I know I mentioned previously that I'm terrible at and I don't do that often, and also like running drills. So before every Tuesday and Thursday session, we do running drills, and they're supposed to really help improve your form and make sure that when you're going into these hard sessions, that your form of your running, your mechanics are good. So you're building muscle memory in terms of how you should be moving. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty strong going into this 50 miler. I think this has probably been one of the best months of training. If I can maintain this and go into the race feeling fit, feeling strong, then I think I'm going to have a really good race. And then I'm quite excited to see what happens next. You know, I think the benefits that I'm getting from this running club, I think yes, it's going to help me run shorter distances, but I really feel like it's going to feed into my longer distances. So if I can become a more efficient, faster runner at 5k, at 10k, then I think when I'm going off running 50-mile races, if I can maintain a strong running form, and if I can run faster whilst maintaining it as a comfortable pace, then I think it's just going to help me run more ultramarathons. I'm just going to see the benefits in terms of doing longer races like the 100-miler next year, or these 50-milers and 50Ks that I'm doing. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. In terms of my plans for the Chiltern Wonderland 50, I've got a couple more videos coming up before the race, and then I'll obviously document the race. After the race, I'm looking at, I've signed up for 2 races, a half marathon and then a marathon in about February time. If I can continue to make progress like I have over the last month, then I think maybe the goal is to try and run a sub 3-hour marathon. Might be optimistic, but that's kind of the big goal. And then use that fitness to then shift into the 100-miler training over sort of the first half of next year. Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for watching and cheers for following along. All right, bye.